Now, on the improvement cycle, what we're going to do now is investigate sources of variation and waste. Immediately now I'm going to look at waste. Just deal with waste first, right? And what we want to do is to identify sources of waste. Well, we've got some insight from our value stream map as to where the process is not very effective and not very efficient. So we can use that as the starting point for our study to identify sources of waste. Now, there are three categories where we can find elements of the process which are suboptimal. We actually break it into three different categories. We have waste, unevenness, and overburden. And if you follow the Japanese language behind it, it's muda, mura, and murai. They're the three things. And we're going to be looking at our value stream map, and we're going to take each of these aspects and we're going to apply a lens to them and say, right, what can we see in our process using this lens to see into the process to say what's happening so we can learn to see better. The first one we're going to take is waste, called muda, right? And the way we're actually going to do that is through something called process redesign. There's a model we use when we do process redesign, which just follows a very strict logic. And I'm going to take you through that. It's known as the 5 R's. The 5 R's start with, can I remove this step entirely? Can I remove the step entirely? The next one is, can I reduce that step? And I'll go back through these in chronological order again. Then replace, then reorder and redeploy. Why would I try to improve something that doesn't need to be there? Yeah? If it doesn't need to be there, it's a completely invalid step. Remove it entirely. Just take it out. You've then discounted it for totally. So that's the first thing. Can I look through it? Can I question myself? Can I remove this step without changing the characteristics of the outcome of the process I'm looking for in a negative way? That's the first thing. Then the next one is to reduce the scope of the step. Are we doing things in the process that doesn't add value, that is unnecessary? So could be that you're moving the component from out of a jig, you're turning it around in a jig, or you're getting someone to go to 2 different screens. Can I reduce the scope of that process step so that it can take up less space and time? That's the second of them. The third of them is replace. Can I replace that step that gives me that outcome with a different way of doing it? Right? Can I replace it? That would be more efficient and more effective. So it could well be, for example, you have someone, they may walk with a tray of material or a tray of post to an area and put it down, when actually it might be better if I just sent it down a conveyor belt or I just sent it electronically. I didn't involve the time doing it. I could replace the process step with some other means. Can I reorder? Can I change the sequence of the steps? Got to be honest, this doesn't happen very often in my experience, the reordering of them, because most processes are put together in the correct precedence. But it might well be that something happens whereby I do this, then my next step I have to undo something to get the next bit done. So can I reorder, change the sequence of steps in order to get a better flow of my process? And then the final one, fifth one, is redeploy. If I've got a piece of work that I'm doing, could it be redeployed either upstream or downstream to get a better construct of flow? And that will give me the 5 R's. So the 5 R's are, can I remove the process step? Because that's going to be the greatest value. If I don't need to do it, just remove it. If I need to do it, can I reduce it? Can I reduce the scope of it? If I need to do it, or if I need the outcome, can I replace the way I do it with a different way of doing it? Can I reorder? Can I change the sequence in which I do them to increase the effectiveness of the process? Or can I now redeploy that activity to somewhere else in the process?